For all your news, advice and product information, visit MoneyExpert.com.
Hello and welcome to MoneyExpert TV, the show where we help you to make sense of the financial maze. I'm Esther and I'm joined today by Dean McCarthy of independent financial advisor Cobalt Private Finance. Hi there, Dean.
Hi, Esther.
Thanks for coming along to join us today.
Thank you.
Now, coming up later in the programme, we'll be answering one of our viewer questions. That's where you get the chance to email us with your queries on perhaps a money problem or a money issue you've got, and we can try and answer those for you. And don't go away, because coming up at the end of the programme, it'll be competition time. That's the chance where you get to win one of our exclusive Money Expert mugs. But first today, let's have a look at what's been making the headlines. One of the biggest stories of the past few days is the news that the last few 125% mortgage deals have disappeared from the market. These are deals that allow you to borrow more than the value of your property. On top of this, we've also seen more and more of the 100% deals disappear too. Cheltenham and Gloucester, for example, has pooled its deal this week. Further to this, we've also seen Nationwide Building Society increase the minimum deposit for those borrowers that want access to its very best deals, increased to 25%. Now that's going to mean quite a lot of saving, and it's going to put quite a bit of pressure on those first-time buyers, those buyers struggling to take that first step. It's going to make quite a big difference. Now, Dean, is there any stories that have caught your eye in the past few days?
Yes, there was an interesting article from the insurance giant AXA. It actually stated that 71% of individuals in the UK have made some sort of pension provision, which I thought was quite interesting.
That's quite a surprisingly high figure, isn't it?
Isn't it? I thought it would be much less than that.
So what would the key message be then?
Key message with regard to pension, heard it so often, is plan early, start earlier. The earlier you start your pension, the less pain it's going to be the older you get.
And just one final story that caught my eye this week was the news that Egg, the credit card provider, is refusing to apologise for the fact that it's cancelled the cards for thousands and thousands of customers. Now the issue here was that it wasn't only those customers who were perhaps deemed a poor or a higher than acceptable risk credit profile, but also those with a really good credit profile had also been targeted. Now, there's been a bit of intervention by former Consumer Affairs Minister Nigel Griffiths. He's now calling for an investigation by the Office of Fair Trading, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. That's one to keep an eye on. Moving on now to our main topic of the day, we're going to be looking at current accounts and overdrafts. Now, we've seen a fair bit of movement in the current account market of late. One of the big movers was Alliance and Leicester putting its rate up to 8%. Now, Dean, this is a fantastic rate for a current account, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
I mean, what we often see is accounts paying just, say, 0.1% on a current account.
Yes. I think it just highlights how competitive the banking market is at the moment, and why it's so important as an individual to make sure that your bank account is giving you value.
No, but with this Alliance and Leicester account, as with any account, you need to just keep a bit of an eye on it, don't you?
Definitely. There are some strings attached. For example, if you are an existing customer of the Premier account, you can't actually go into the new account, and that the rate is only available for the first 12 months.
And what about the overdraft rate? And we talk a lot about when balancing in credit. What about if you're dipping into the red? What are the issues there?
Well, the good news with the Alliance and Leicester account is that, for example, there is no interest to pay on the overdraft within the first 12 months. So if you are in a bank account that's charging a lot of interest at the moment, then you should really consider transferring to a more competitive bank account.
And now we've got some new findings showing that rates are actually falling on unauthorised overdrafts.
Yeah.
We've got figures showing they've gone from 25% down a year ago to just 20% today. Now, it's a small move, or it's a reasonable move, but it is a move in the right direction, isn't it?
Definitely, on the face of it, on the surface, it definitely seems like it's a very good deal for the consumer. But if you think about it, really, 20% as a rate for an overdraft, whilst there are other providers offering 0% on interest on overdrafts, is really still very high. And obviously, consumers need to be very careful with regard to this.
If you are going to go into your unauthorised overdraft and you're worried about that, what can you do?
The first thing you should do definitely is speak to your bank. If you are going into an unauthorised overdraft limit, then this could have some very hefty financial penalties. So speak to your bank. This could be a one-off occurrence, and you could be penalised quite heavily just for doing that. And if you're finding that you are going into the red on a regular basis, you are becoming overdrawn on a regular basis, then you really should consider whether your current bank account is the most appropriate account for you. If it's not, as we've said before, consider what else is available in the marketplace for you.
And looking then at the wider picture, we've got some new figures out this week showing that we've got, on top of energy bills going up, now water bills are going up by 5.8%, council tax also going up by 4%. It seems that household budgets are really being stretched in all directions at the moment. So what can you do about that?
You need to see what's coming in on a monthly basis, what's going out. Obviously, if there's more going out than there is coming in, then you have to hold your hands up and say, look, there is a problem here. There are various ways, various methods you can actually try and free up a few pounds at the end of the month. For example, are your energy providers the most competitive? Is your mortgage rate the most competitive? And if you keep looking at whether you can actually get some of your existing loans and debts and services that are provided for you on a monthly basis at a cheaper cost, then obviously that will help overall.
Thanks very much for that, Dean. Now moving on to today's viewer question. This comes from James Ellis over email. He says, I've got around £3,500 on my credit card and need to switch it to a new card, but don't really know where to start. Can you help? Now, Dean, can you help me out a bit with this one? Where do you go if you need to look for a new credit card? Where do you start?
Well, the most obvious port of call is to look for a provider that offers a 0% facility for balance transfers. That's what would have happened historically. The problem we now have is that a lot of providers are actually putting a fee upon the transfer to encourage you to stay with them.
And how much might this fee be then?
It varies. It can be 2, 3 or even 4%.
That's quite a hefty amount of
It is,
balance.
it is, and if obviously the fee is too high, then it makes you actually consider, is it worth me transferring that balance over or not? So what you're needing to find is actually a provider that maybe caps its level of charges.
And can you name any of the providers that cap those balance transfer fees?
Yeah, sure. John Lewis, for example, Citibank, LV and Virgin Money.
Brilliant, that's really useful. Moving on now, it's competition time. This is your chance to get your hands on one of our Money Expert mugs. All you've got to do is answer this simple question. The government is set to increase the current £7,000 ISA limit at the start of the new tax year. What is the new limit going to be? Is it A, £7,050, B, £7,100, or C, £7,200? Send us your answers to quiz@moneyexpert.com. That's just about all for this week. All that remains for me to say is thanks to Dean from Cobalt Private Finance for coming along to join me today.
Thank you, Esther.
And to say, do join us again next week. And in the meantime, please keep sending us your questions to viewerquestions@moneyexpert.com. Bye for now.